Uh, Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to another session with Tech Talk with Malit. So today we have a special guest from Microsoft Australia, Herdian Vidmanto. Sorry for misspelling. He's a modern workplace technology specialist. So we are moving forward with this. So we are here to discuss regarding Microsoft Teams. It's one of the best products available at the moment during this pandemic situation. So it's help us to move on with collaborating and working together remotely with multiple locations and stuff, multiple countries as such and so. So, Herdian, before we start, can you give a little brief about what you do and what are the contexts what you focus on in Microsoft Australia?
Yeah, sure. Thanks again for having me in this session, Malik. So
Yeah,
yeah, so just to restate, my name is Herdian Widarmanto. So
yeah,
I work for Microsoft as the technology specialist for modern workplace, and
okay,
I focus only mostly on the Microsoft 365 workload. So it
yeah,
talks about Office 365, enterprise mobility and security, and also Windows 10 enterprise. So I help customer with their technical needs, technical questions, or any blockers in relation to the Microsoft 365 workload.
okay. So
Yeah.
that's a good focus. So today we are focusing on Microsoft Team. It's a good product what Microsoft introduced about 3 years back. So in Ignite, I think 2016 Ignite, they introduced this regarding Microsoft Teams, and later on it moved on. So it's the predecessor of I think Skype for Business, but it's in an advanced way. We had
Yep.
limitations in Skype for Business, but in this we have a good vast area of moving forward. Even schools here in Sri Lanka is moving. We have partners working uh, 24/7 to bring school system to the Microsoft A1 license, which is available for the students to work with Microsoft Teams education. So we have some questions because we, as partners, as buyers from that means as a customer, as a partner, we have lot of issues in approaching this product
Yep.
because there are many products in the line like Slack, Blue Jeans, also some of the people who use in Sri Lanka and Zoom, and there are some vulnerabilities with these products, and that we want to talk how as Microsoft can overcome these challenges. We have security concerns and all the other details. So moving forward, we have some questions. So before that, I think you have a introduction regarding
Yeah.
Microsoft Teams and stuff. So I can move forward. We will share the screens right now, so we can move forward with this.
Sure, definitely. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right, exactly right. So we can say that Microsoft Teams is the predecessor of Skype for Business, right?
Okay.
So, well, now we're looking at it in a different way, right? Because uh, now we focus on a new way of working. That's what we can say, right? So, maybe for those who was not yet aware of what Microsoft Teams is, right? So I'm just gonna share a bit on what is Microsoft Teams, right? So Microsoft Teams is basically the hub for teamwork in the Microsoft 365 suite, right? It
Okay.
provides, the user a way for communicating via, chat, and then via it's a private chat or it's a public chat, right? You can share information from within Teams for your team members or maybe for another colleague, right? And it also supports, in terms of meeting, for example, right? Right nowadays with the current situation, more and more people, they start to work from remote locations. They cannot come to the office and they cannot work together in a physical manner, right? So it provides a way for you to do online meetings, which allows you to collaborate and do video conferencing, right? Aside from
Okay.
that, Microsoft Teams also, we can use Microsoft Teams to do calling. So
Okay.
in an advanced approach or in an advanced scenario that you can integrate that with your current PBX environment and basically have no a desk phone on the side, or you can do all that communication, be it calling to a PSTN line, calling to a mobile phone, just by using Microsoft Teams. Okay,
Okay.
and also in terms of how we work with files, because again, it's not only a communication tool, but we call it a collaboration, right? A collaboration tool,
Yes.
whereas you can actually edit your documents together, within your team member, within your colleagues, right? You can have a repository where you can store your Word, Excel document, or other types of office where you can, where you can collaborate together. You can store your files, and then you can have that single repository rather than having the files, located in individual computers, right? And also, the idea of Microsoft Teams is not just only to collaborate, but we also try to improve business process, right? So we try to automate business process. What was once a business process that was done manually,
Yeah.
now we can actually integrate that with Teams and create that business process from within Teams. So it
Yeah.
actually can, speed up the process, basically,
Yeah,
right?
this is the thing what we need actually, because when you are working, we need to call, we have to share files, we have to, sometimes we have customized systems available. So we this is integration, as you said, it's a tool of collaboration, right?
Yep.
You
Right.
can move forward. And sorry.
Yep. And I just have I have two slides. I don't want to bore you with multiple slides. So this is
No
the next
problem.
one, right? So
Okay.
what actually Teams can do for the business, right? So it's a way for your business to be able to transform, right? So
Mhm.
we create like a workplace collaboration where typically you would do collaboration physically. You have to go into a meeting room. You
Mhm.
have to do all paper based, right? So what we do is we provide a way to transform the modern workplace, right? And then I mentioned about streamlining the business process, right? It's not just
Mhm.
about calling and video, right? But you can actually move what a traditional business process where maybe for to do like an example, to do a process return, everything needs to be done manually, and then you need to input that into a system, right? So by using this, you can actually integrate what we call like workflow, right? So you can integrate the workflow where you can input everything from within Teams, and then it would basically run an automated workflow based on Teams, right? So it's according to what your business need. And the third part is it's a way to connect everyone in a single platform, right? So within an organization, there are multiple tools, that you can use to do collaboration, right? Maybe if you're a board of director, you would be using a different tool. If you're a frontline worker working as a reception or as a front desk, you'll be using a different tool, right? So because the tool that we created is basically you can access it in your mobile device, in your desktop, or even just via web browser, right? So we create a way to connect the entire workforce into a single platform. Okay. And the other one is again because what we nowadays people are beginning to get security conscious, right? You don't want your data to be taken outside of your organization and be used for the benefit of other organization, right? So
Yeah.
what we try to do is we try to provide an enterprise grade security and compliance. So meaning that you can protect your data from end to end, and you can create
Mhm.
compliance and governance on top of Teams, right, for your organization.
It's good. So yeah. So I think your slides are finished, right? In this,
Yeah, yeah,
with this.
yes.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Harian. So it's a good insight, because we need to know the product before we are moving forward. This is the thing what we want actually. So again, so we will move forward with the questions. Some of the questions from our industry. I have some questions available, so we will start discussion with these. So the first question I have is, I'll pop up the question. There are many collaboration tools out there. How does Microsoft Teams stand out from the rest?
Right, right. Great question. Yeah, from my perspective, right, when we're talking about collaboration tools, right, so
Yeah.
there's typically three components that we take a look within a collaboration tool, right? First, you would take a look at the collaboration tool as a communication tool, right? A
Yeah.
communication tool that provides, exchange information between individuals. So one to
Hmm.
one. So, maybe traditionally you would use email or instant messaging, right? So that's the communication tool. Second is, when it comes to collaboration tool, you need that tool to be able to coordinate, right? The tool has to be a way for your users to coordinate, to,
Hmm.
to assign tasks, to create calendars, right? To actively create something to achieve. the same goal within the same team, right? So that's where the coordination comes. And the third part is that tool needs to be able to do cooperation, right? So having a real, a real time discussion with a big group, with a huge group, right? So I think,
Mhm.
when we talk about collaboration tools, it needs to fulfill these three criterias, right? So communication, coordination, and also cooperation.
Yeah.
And I think Teams provide that, right? Teams provide a way for us to do instant messaging. You can integrate that with your calendar, for example, if you need to create scheduled meetings, right? And also if you want to assign tasks to someone, because maybe we're doing a certain project, or a day-to-day operations that we do, you need to be able to assign tasks, right? And we can integrate that with the tools within Office 365, what we call the Microsoft Planner. So
Mhm.
you can create tasks, you can assign tasks. So you can complete a task in a systematical order, right? So this step one, step two, step three, So it's a way for
Mhm.
you to do that coordination. And again, you also need to be able to have that huge meetings, right? Where maybe you need to do a daily meeting with your team members, right? Maybe 10, 20, 30, right? You can do up to 250 people within a meeting, right? And you
Mhm.
can coordinate, you can do video conferencing by using that, by using that cooperation tools, right?
Okay.
And one thing we also need to take a look when it comes to collaboration tool. So it
Mhm.
needs to be you need to be able to do it asynchronously and synchronously, right? So
Mhm.
because nowadays people are working with different regions, different time zones, right? So that collaboration needs to be asynchronous, right? When I send out that message, I mean, you don't have to read it now, maybe because it's not your working time yet, right? Maybe in a
Mhm.
few hours, you'll be able to open that and read it. It needs to be available then. So it's not always have to be in real time. It doesn't have
Mhm.
always have to be like synchronous, right? And
Mhm.
if you need to do real time, and that tool needs also, you can you still need to be able to use that tool when it comes to real time video conferencing, audio conferencing, or whatever it is you need to do coordination within your teams, right?
Okay.
And again with Teams, it provides all those, right? You can do communication by via chat, video call, audio call. You can coordinate by using your calendar. You can work on documents, right? You can
Mhm.
create Excel spreadsheet, put it on
Co-authoring.
Teams. Yeah, co-authoring,
Co-authoring.
exactly,
Yes.
right? So yeah, so that's what I think. But that's what makes Teams stand out from the rest, because I see there are many tools available out there in the market, but I feel that those tools are, it's not an integrated tool, right? Um, some tool is good for video conferencing, right? You
Mhm.
can maybe create like 50 users, all of the video show at the same time, right?
Yes.
Well, we don't. Yeah, I mean, imagine if you see that in your small screen, 50
Yeah.
people.
If you
How are
have,
you gonna
if
focus,
you,
right?
yeah, if you're having a 13-inch laptop and see the screen on 47 to 50 people on one screen, it's
Yeah,
impossible. You have to have magnifying glass actually.
that's right, exactly right. What we're trying to do is we're trying to focus on in a meeting, right? We want to be focused. We want to drill down on what we need. It's not about how like, okay, everybody needs to be present, right? I can see you're sleeping. I can see not. I mean, I think we need to go beyond that, right?
So
Yeah.
I think for schools, I think they are actually, I think for the Microsoft Teams education, they are pushing the 47 screen video screen feature, I think, in the coming months in Microsoft Teams for education sector only, I think. And we have break room sessions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For now, I think Microsoft Teams is supporting 9 screens with the, I think altogether 10 with the viewers and altogether
Yes.
9 simultaneous video calls as well. So as we are talking regarding this, we have approached because there was some security concern in some other products. I don't need to name them one by one, but third-party tools using multiple occasions, right? The schools, some of the schools are using Zoom
Hmm.
to have the video chat and using WhatsApp to send the messages. The teachers are sending messages to WhatsApp and using Google Drive or OneDrive or other storage facilities to share the files. They are
Yeah.
using multiple systems in different, I think, 3 or 4 companies all together to work
Yeah.
this is not a collaboration. This is that means step by step. That means you have to step on one stone and you have to jump on the other stone. Like that, you have to jump and go. But when it comes to Microsoft Teams, these all are included inside one.
Yeah.
So it's a great tool. We are using this at the moment. I think most of the companies in Sri Lanka has also gone with this digital transformation for this. So my next question is that, right? So my next question is, how does Microsoft Teams help organizations to really transform? Sorry, not rely, really transform. So this is
Yeah.
the next question I have, because companies have concerns, right? So with this, we have to move forward. Can you
Yeah.
little bit explain regarding this?
Yeah, so I think, right, I mean, you know, this current situation, right? This current situation is really, forcing people to find a new way of working, right? Because
Yes.
you can't either you have your office open, but I don't think right now you're able to have like 100% of people coming into the office, right? I mean, you have to split the your user. Maybe some people are working from home, some people are working from the office, right? And there's this funny meme that's been going around. If you know that there's like a multiple choice asking, who led the digital transformation of your company, right? And then the
Mhm.
answer is A, CEO, B, CIO, and C, COVID-19, right?
Yeah, I see
So I
that.
think I think right now it's companies really forced to transform, right? They have to find a new way of keeping that social distancing possible while still being able to collaborate and communicate, right?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it's when you're talking about transformation or digital transformation. I mean, Teams basically comes back. It's just a tool, right? Teams is only a tool, and it's you need to look not just with the tools itself, but you also need to take a look at the people and process. The saying about we have to take a look at the people, the process, and the tools itself, right? And you can do this by customer. We have options to do this. When Microsoft provides options, you can work with a partner in terms of how we are able to get that transformation going for our company, right? And then either working with Microsoft ourselves. I mean, we give that options available. So again, it's not just a tool, but we're trying to look for a way, for these companies to be able to transform, right? Um, when we're using
Definitely.
Teams again, right? I think, for example, change management and adoption. So those tools are, one of the things that we take a look into when it comes to trying to transform your organization, right? Uh, when we do adoption, what we do is we try to identify, the timelines and the milestones. We need to get this number of user into Microsoft Teams, but again, we cannot just throw the tools at them and expect them to be able to use it, right? There needs to be some sort of a change management, and then we need to get that adoption going. So
Definitely.
right, when it comes to cloud,
Yeah.
now when we say adoption, right, because we want our customers to be able to leverage the tool that we're providing for them, right? So we also need to determine if there's any training needed, right? And how we are going to deliver that types of training, right? And then within Microsoft ourselves, we also create materials for training, and then we can hand it
Mhm.
out for our customers. They can use it, and then they can create their own, right? And the
Yeah.
other one is, we need to be able to have sponsorship from the executive, right? If it's just within the IT team, IT can just push the tools, right? But again,
Mhm.
this is a cultural thing, right? This is a process. This is a people, right? This is
Mhm.
what we need to do in terms of being able to transform, right? And yeah, again, it's not just about the tools. It's
Mhm.
about the people and also the process. And as we continue to encourage our customer in using this product, we also provide a way to help customer with the process and also with the culture changes.
Okay, so it's a good answer, because, as you said, the option, most of the companies move to digital transformation because of the COVID, right? Right. As you said, I have seen that ticks. That means the poll is
Yeah,
going. That means what made the digital transformation happen. Actually, most of the companies had to put COVID because they needed the tool, but they were not willing to move for the digital transformation. But when a situation comes like this, that means you have to stay in your home, even can't go out of your gate
that's
and
right.
stay focused inside. At that point, you have to go for the digital transformation, and because the companies have to move, or else we don't have a job. So that's the
That's
purpose,
right.
right?
Or the business is not
Right.
gonna move, right? Right.
Yeah. So So the part that means the rivals who are using the collaboration tools and using digital transformation, they are moving forward, but the companies who are not willing to do this happens, right? That is because there were companies I have mentioned earlier in my podcast. There were companies, it was very hard for us to take from paper based to computer based, put a
Yeah,
server inside there. So
that's right.
now it's a digital era, it's the other way around. We can't take customers from normal on premises server to cloud. It's very hard because they have concerns and stuff.
Yeah.
So moving forward, I have another question. It's Is Microsoft Teams simple to use? What more can we get out of it?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, every tool definitely
Mhm.
requires learning, right? So there is a learning curve when we're talking about Teams, right? If you just want to do a video call, well, it's just easy, right? You just select the person and then just do a video call. But again, it's not just about leveraging that tool to do like meetings, right? But we need to be able uh, 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 to create processes on how we can make it better for us, right? Make it better on the user, make it more productive for the user. And we provide many materials available online. Even companies can, they can just read through that materials, and then they can just start rolling out to their end users. But again, you need to have a target, you need to have a milestone, you need to have uh, a use case on uh, what are you trying to deliver by using Microsoft Teams, right? As I mentioned earlier, right? What we can get out of Microsoft Teams, right? It's a tool that can help you transform your workplace collaboration. It's a way for you to streamline your business process, right? uh, Before it was manual, and then now you need to do automated. Before you need
Yeah,
to do everything within the office paper based, right? Now you're working from home. How are you gonna do all those signatures, do all those documentations when you can't actually physically hand out that hard copy of a document to someone, right? So it needs to be able to do it online. And again, it's a way for you to connect everyone into a single platform. You mentioned about having using Google, using Zoom in an environment, right? So imagine how difficult to manage that, to manage different vendors, right? To manage the security, you're making sure that okay, the video communication is safe on Zoom, and then you need to make sure that the file sharing is safe on Google, and you need to make sure on other types of platform, right?
like
Where
messaging
here,
on WhatsApp,
right,
like
messaging on
messaging
WhatsApp,
on. Yes.
which is something that you cannot control because WhatsApp is a consumer based chat application, right? So right now, I mean, you can see that data is something that a company needs to protect, right? Because it's basically their bread and butter, right? Imagine that data going out into being feed out into some other
Definitely.
companies that use it for their own benefit, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so again, what you can get a lot of you get a lot out of team, but it needs to be, you need to basically sit down and discuss on this use case and scenario, right?
Yes. So actually, yes, most of I think with most of the products I stand off with it, Microsoft Teams is actually moving forward with their user interface because it's very easy to use, and more and more easy functions are coming forward, and let's say that means product wise and all the other wise, that means they are moving right.
Yep.
So regarding, I have to add little bit something regarding this Microsoft Teams to use and stuff. So we have education plans, we have Microsoft Learn available to have some of the productivity available, that means the simple use. So if you have to go to the deep end, we have Microsoft courses available like MS 700. It's focusing on managing teams and services. Actually, we have a company right now who is doing the training with us through my company. We have doing the training. So it is the first batch with the latest updates, because I think no one in Sri Lanka has done the latest update because the book was updated on last Monday. So we started the training on Friday, and because this team got the most out of it, because normally a book updates every 3 or 4 months or 6 months, but they have the first in that. So we were able to do that, and we have some more projects coming through.
Mm.
So, I have to tell the viewers, if you have any questions regarding Microsoft Teams and stuff, you can put in our chat through Facebook or YouTube, so we can answer the questions while we are moving forward. And right, so whatever you said, that means whatever the product is, the user must be willing to study regarding the product,
That's right. That's right.
and the company has to have a that means a firm knowledge of the product so that they can promote their employees to use, or the students or teachers, whether it's education or normal commercial use. They have to have the will, and the management must have the will to make sure that the users get the most out of it. So there are
Yeah.
learning partners. We have Microsoft YouTube channels available for Microsoft Team through Microsoft, like Microsoft Mechanics and stuff. They're teaching shortcuts and how to use stuff. So you have to take use of these stuff. Even
Yep.
when I started, I learned a lot through online reading books, and by user experience only you get to know more about these stuff, right? That's a good insight regarding that. So I have another question regarding this. So the question goes as, how does Microsoft Teams help in all industry and many divisions within organizations? So I
Yep.
think we have lot of sectors when you're coming to Microsoft Teams, they are focused on. Can you just elaborate regarding this matter?
Sure. I mean, I'm just taking the statistic from, from Microsoft's, from our back end information. So now we have about 91 of 100 Fortune 100 companies that uses Team, right? So 91 out
Yeah.
of 100. So I think almost all of the Fortune 100 companies uses Microsoft Teams. And
Yes.
so I'm just giving you the scale, right? So active user, we have about 75 million daily, and then
Mm-hmm.
in terms of meeting participant, it's more than 200 millions per day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the breadth of the scale. So it could just show that, how we are able to help customer in terms of the business scenario that they have, right? One example I want to take here is we have a customer story for IKEA. I think,
Mm-hmm.
it's a quite reputable brand name, right? I mean, it's everywhere
Yeah,
around the
definitely.
world,
It's an
right?
international brand. I think Sri Lanka is also was expecting that brand to be launched in Sri Lanka, but I think because of this COVID situation, it moved up. I think by
uh
next year, and I
yeah,
think
yeah.
we will have IKEA in Sri Lanka as
So
well.
you'll have it soon, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like,
how Teams is able to help IKEA, right? So IKEA has about 160,000 employees worldwide. So one of the use case that Teams has been able to help with IKEA is the first one is making schedules, right? So previously the IKEA employees they use this paper-based scheduling, right? So they need to hand in whenever they want to do like change of schedule. They want to be okay, I'm available during this day, right, only within the week. So they need to do this
mhm,
process everything manually. They need to raise this request through their manager needs to approve it, and then after that they'll be able to schedule their schedules, right? So
mhm.
we have what we call Microsoft Shift within the Teams itself. So Microsoft Shift is basically the tools that the first line worker uses. So these are the people that work with they have a shift, right, basically, right? So maybe I only work 6 hours during my shift, right? And we can create an automated process based on that, because everything is stored within the Teams itself. So if they need
Okay.
to create a request on, I'm available only on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right? So all this process can be done automatically just by using the shift on Microsoft Teams. So it's again it's a way to change that business process, right?
Mhm.
And the second use case that they're using in IKEA is by removing layers of communication, right? So previously they have bulletin boards. So if you want to, if you want to see the latest news or the latest updates on the activities within the organization, they will post it on a bulletin board, right? Which they would probably need to go to come to the office and take a look at that bulletin board. So they shift that now. That corporate communication can be done and can be available at any time using the employees' personal devices. right? So they don't have to come to the to work every time, or maybe just to go on a corner of the office to see what are the messages. They can just open their mobile phones and then take a look at what are the latest information in regards of the company, right? And it makes coordination a lot easier because you don't have to send in WhatsApp and then suddenly you say, oh, I didn't open my WhatsApp, because everything now is within Teams. Everybody can see that messages, right? And
Yeah.
managers can operate, and they can basically send messages, send reply response in a real time manner, right? And the
Okay.
third one, I think this might be, some people might appreciate this, most people might not, is reduce travel, right?
Yeah.
It's a global organization again, and then sometimes you need to do meetings, right? So by using Microsoft Teams, we try to reduce the travel by using online meetings, right? And also it reduces the time of travel needed, so you can you can do project quickly or finish the job quickly. And also most companies now are trying to reduce the carbon footprint, so by reducing the travel, it also reduces the carbon footprint for that company, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good answer, because the final one I have to tell, because some of the company employees doesn't like that the traveling
Yeah,
cost is down because they don't get the traveling allowance
that's
because
right.
of this situation.
That's
So
right.
as you said, some of them like the situation and some of them doesn't like. So we have a question from one of our viewers. Actually, I think I can answer this. Is there any way to integrate Microsoft Teams with other softwares? Example, Nagios. Nagios is actually a tool to monitor your devices. It's a IT infrastructure tool. For the moment, there is no official tool to monitor these. The integration tool is not there, but you can create a Nagios notification through a backend. That means creating through the API. You can create a software, and you can put an integration through your own application, but there is no official application. I think in the Teams user voice, this has been gone up, because actually I have to tell the viewers regarding Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is a product that was planned to be matured by the end of next year,
Mm,
right? So because of this COVID situation, the developers and Microsoft backend is working hardly to give all the functionalities what users are asking. But there are some issues in that means there is a buffer, because we have limitations. That means the developers are working from home and they don't have full capability, but they are giving the facilities as soon as possible available, right? So by Microsoft Teams user voice, I think I have seen, that means more than I think more than 50 of them have requested regarding this Nagios integration tool. For the moment we don't have official one, but you I think in GitHub there is a developer repository that you can attach your Nagios API, and you can get the notifications to Microsoft Teams. It's available. One person has done it and he has shared the code on that. So I think I can share the link. I will share the link directly for you after this session, right? I think I have answered the question. So the next question is, we were talking more about chats, repositories, data, and all the stuff. Now the main question, all this comes to one question, is security is a
security.
fundamental important when organization digitally transform. How does Microsoft Teams address this? So this is the, I think, when it comes to any digital transformation or any digital product, this is the data what we need. We saw that Facebook leaked our data, and the Google is also using, and some other companies are now in Sri Lanka. We that means not in Sri Lanka, worldwide. I think gold is not the expensive thing. I think data is the number one product available for. That means I think the expensivest. That means
Yeah,
the most expensive product in the world is data, right?
that's right.
We have data mining companies and some other people who share email address to sales and marketing companies. That means email marketing companies, they sell email address. So this is the era of giving away data. So when it comes to Microsoft Teams, how does Microsoft stand off from others that with the data of the users? That means the consumer must have a
Okay.
concern, where is my data? right?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, right, I mean, Microsoft Teams is actually built on top of the M365 workload, right? So, Microsoft for specifically for the M365, so we support more compliance regulation than any other vendor, right? So we are available in 181 markets. So which means
Mhm.
that in every market they have their own regulations and compliance that we need to abide by in order to be
Mhm.
able to sell service in those regions, right? For example, in Europe, you have the data and privacy, right? So you're not able to basically you have to be able to grab those data, right? If one of the user requests it, right? And in the US and in all other countries, right? Again, so we see that yeah, we see that data is something like you said, it's the gold, right? It's the most valuable uh, sort of
Product.
resource, yeah,
Yeah, resource available.
within the company, right? And we are aware that we even create one specific site where customers are able to view. We call it Microsoft Trust. So you can just go and search Microsoft Trust, and it'll give you basically how we treat our data, how we are able to um, transfer our data. So it actually when we're doing Microsoft, we run based on trust, right? So because we're not an advertising company, right? So we don't mine data, like you said, we don't mine data and use it against the customer, right? So data that is stored within Microsoft is customer data. It's not our data. So
Mhm.
what we do is we try to protect, in relation to Teams. So encryption is definitely by default. So we encrypt everything. If the data is in transit, meaning that if you're doing like a video call, audio call, it's always encrypted. We also encrypt the data at rest. So any data that is stored within our data center is always going to be encrypted, right? And we also offer additional, security and compliance method that customer is able to leverage. So, for example, in terms of security, we offer what we call the advanced threat protection, right? So, nowadays phishing attempts is getting more and more known, right?
Yes.
Cybersecurity is, probably is in everyone's mind when they're adopting cloud, right? So we have like safe links where when you send a link, basically what it does is that we will check that link if it's redirecting to a malicious site, redirecting to a phishing site, right? Right now it's still in public preview, but again, in the future, you're able to use that. And we also have safe attachment. So all files that are sent in or maybe from within the organization, we always scan that, right? We offer two-factor authentication. In Microsoft, we call it multi-factor authentication, right?
Yes.
So if there is a need for your user to access and to get a second layer of authentication using like a mobile device, the Authenticator app, your SMS or your phone, right? So we have a way to provide that. And there's also what we call the conditional access. So it
Mhm.
allows you, for example, if you're right now you're traveling to another country and then you're logging in into using a device that is unknown, then we can have like an automation process that can trigger two-factor authentication. But if you're logging in from Sri Lanka or from your office, then there's no authentication needed because you're in a safe environment. That's one
Yes.
example, right? And in terms of the compliance, so we have what we call the information barrier. So if within your organization you have you're segregating people from communicating to one another. So for example, maybe an employee are not able to directly communicate with the finance or maybe the board of director. We can create information barriers so they're not able to look for that person. It's also a way for you to create additional layer of security, right? Because maybe if one of the employees account got compromised and then they try to search into the directory and find who is the CEO CFO within this organization. With information barriers, they are not going to able to search that information, right?
Mhm.
Retention policies. So if you're, for example, in a hospital industry where you need to keep health data for a number amount of year, right? You cannot erase that data. You can do that with retention policies and data loss prevention. Again, we're talking about data, so we can prevent, for example, people from sharing sensitive information in a chat or trying to send information outside of the organization. So we have that capability from in Microsoft Teams, right? And again, we are really looking into privacy for our customer. So data belongs to the customer. We don't use that data again for any advertising use. So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's how we view security, right?
Yeah. I have to add something regarding this as well. I think I have mentioned this regarding this security concerns from the other sessions what I had. Microsoft is, I think, investing more than $1 billion per year for the security purpose only.
Yeah,
So because of that, I think you are rest assured your data is secure through Microsoft. I think till now, I think till when Microsoft started as Office 365, the cloud version, the Azure or Microsoft 365, all the other products, I think no one has ever complained regarding leaking their data or that the data breaches has been not been informed that has happened. So this is one of the companies, I think, still 0 days of hacking with the data, I think from OneDrive or using Office 365. I think most of the errors has happened through user errors, simple
yeah,
password, and that means incapability of that means not locking your PC down. These are the
right,
functions what made the security vulnerabilities.
right,
So as Herdian said, that means all your data is stored in Microsoft servers, but Microsoft doesn't even have access to all our data. The access is always controlled by us, even whether it's Microsoft 365, Office 365, or any other product. But even in Azure, if you delete a virtual machine, that is deleted. Even Microsoft can't recover it. If you don't have a recovery plan, it's not recoverable. That is the option what Microsoft gives you. So when you are moving forward, I think this is a good answer, because these are the questions what people have. Because of this only we created this question, so people can understand the focus on this. So I think the viewers can ask questions. I think one of the viewers asked the question, so I think we can before I think we can end this session. But do you want to add anything regarding this, Herdian? The best practice of Microsoft Teams?
so yeah, so when it comes to best practice, right? Again, it's through change management and through adoptions that we can run that best practice, because every company, every organization has a different way of collaborating with with one another. Um, we provide a methodology that you can actually the customer can actually look into in terms of how they can adopt Microsoft Teams into their organization, but
Mhm.
they can customize it according to how their company is actually doing the collaboration itself, right?
Okay.
So you can collaborate within a department, within a project again, but how you can collaborate is again going back to that customer themselves, right? And I suggest you talk with you do the trainings that you provide. You do the adoption and rollout that Microsoft partners provide, or even Microsoft ourselves provide. That way, you'll have a smooth transition to whatever it is that you've been using into our solution or our technology in terms of the collaboration.
Yeah, I think we have a question from our viewer. I think I can answer a little bit. You can answer
Sure,
some.
sure.
If team is managed by Intune's app protection policy using Intune, is a license required for Teams? I can understand properly, but we'll try to answer. That means Intune is a product. I think it's controlling the other part. I think the app protection is not needed through Intune. I think it's all under Microsoft.
So
He actually pop up the question: can Office license is sufficient, or a separate Teams license is required for app protection policy
I
to
see.
work?
Sure, I
This is
can
the
answer that
question.
one.
Yeah.
Sure, I can answer that one. Yeah. Again, right. So Teams, you don't actually get Teams separately. So you need to have an Office 365 plan. Whether it's you mentioned about the education plan. In the commercial side, we have like an E1 or Office 365 business plan for that. So we never sell Teams as a separate plan. So it because again, it's a suite, right? You work with Teams. It integrates with the OneDrive. It integrates with SharePoint Planner, and all of that is into single one Office 365 suite, right? And So we have this thing called the journey to M365, because when we're talking about Teams, it's usually talking about just the productivity side of things, right? And then usually after a customer completed the productivity side, they go to the next step. So the next step is talking about the enterprise mobility and security, right? So it allows you to use the M365 workload, via multiple device, and then you can manage that. So what your viewer is asking is about the Intune itself, right? So Intune is the device management that we provide as an additional solution of Office 365. So it's within the EMS suite.
Yeah,
Intune allows you, yeah.
I think
You wanna?
E5 like right. E5, E5 and E3 both are there. I
So
think
yeah, so
additionally you can
there's
subscribe.
both, right? There's an EMS E3 and then there's an EMS E5, right? And Intune provides you a way to manage not just mobile, but it also manage the endpoints also, like Windows 10 devices. And with Intune, it's not only just talking about mobile device management where you manage the camera, right? You manage if someone device can be rooted or not, right? But you can also manage the application. So application that you install, like for example, Office for web, Office for Android or Office for iOS. You can actually create a policy for that app. So for example, I want to prohibit when someone is accessing an Outlook for iOS, they cannot copy the content to the local uh, mobile phone, right? They can only save it in OneDrive or SharePoint. That's an example. So Intune has the MAM, we call it mobile application policy for that, or he mentioned about the app protection, right? And it requires an Intune license for that, and it's right now it's separate from Teams. So to shorten things, you need an additional license for that. It could be Intune, or if you want a bigger suite and then a lot more features within it, you can use EMS for that.
Okay, I think he have a continuous question. It's good to ask question. I
Go
was
ahead.
able to use Teams without assigning an Office 365 license, but I was wondering if app protection policy has a prerequisite to manage Teams, that it should have a license. I think Microsoft Teams available for free also. That is not. That means there are limitations are there between, I think, the free version and the Office 365 version. I think the free version you need only a Microsoft account to create a Microsoft Teams account. That means if you have a personal Outlook email address, you can log into Microsoft Teams and start using. But there are limitations. I think 2 GB of space and something like
Yeah.
that, right? Between the, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can
So
answer a little bit more about this.
sure. So yeah, there's two types of teams, right? There's the free teams, which is a for personal or maybe a business that hasn't maybe only have a few people, and then there's the Office 365 teams, right? For the personal teams, you would need to use a Microsoft account for that, so you're not able to use the Office 365 work account. Um, I think what this person is talking about is the Office 365 team. So right now we have a trial version called the Microsoft Exploratory, sorry, the Teams Exploratory license.
Mhm.
So it doesn't mean that it's free. So it's actually a trial version. So with the Microsoft Exploratory Teams license, you'll be able to have, because Teams, again, you need to have an email to work on it. So when they activate that license, you get Exchange Online, you get a OneDrive for Business, you get SharePoint. And I think right now the exploratory license, you can use it up till 2021 for trial purpose.
Yeah.
And again, yeah, for the app protection, you would need Intune license for that and a separate license.
Yes. I think he's talking. I think he was talking about the free version. The free
Free
version
version.
through Microsoft. Yeah. So because
So
of that thing,
free
yeah, I
version, you
can.
can only use a Microsoft account for that. You
Yeah.
probably, yeah, you probably share.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. What I'll do is. Jay, I will share you a link regarding what is the benefits and comparison regarding the Microsoft free version and the paid version, so you can understand what are the capabilities. That means, as you said, you can use Microsoft Teams without configuring Microsoft Office 365 license, but there are some capability differences. That means you have some limitations uh, in using this. So what I'll do is I'll share the link, right? So you can understand what are the capabilities on this, right? sorry if the link is a little bit larger, but this is the link what I have. So in this link, you can understand what is there. Uh, so yes, okay. I think he said it's very helpful for him, and he's thanking you. So I'll put that message as well. The insight was helpful, and thank you, Herdian. So we have
You're
to thank
welcome.
you again. Okay, so I think we have come to an end. So if you have another questions, we are staying about another 5 or 10 minutes online. So you can ask any questions. And so as we are concerned, as I said before, that means most of the schools, I think, when it especially comes to Malaysia, has turned all their schools into Microsoft Teams. And Malaysia and now in Sri Lanka also, I think two partners are working close together to bring the Microsoft Teams education closely to the government sector schools. But I think most of the schools, that means like partners like H1, Tech1 Global, and Zillion, and we have multiple, that means large account resellers and small partners as well. So these partners are working closely together to give a solution to the people. So this is what is there. That means, so because of these situation only, I need to have great insight regarding Teams. Teams has become a major product, right? Even when you simply have a call, let's do Teams. Even normal, yeah, even I had my school colleagues chat earlier. That also we did through Teams as well. I
Yeah.
have the so it was very good because we had the sessions. I shared the link. You can do live sessions. I think for the moment they don't have YouTube or Facebook integrations available in Teams Live. I think as soon as they do that, I'll be straightly moving forward to that one. Right?
That's
For the
cool.
moment, I'm using a third-party tool to do the live events for both the worlds like Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah.
So I think this is a request. I put my voice on that because to do that means
You want
we
to be
want
able
to do that.
to connect to
Yeah,
multiple video streams. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's
because
something that, yeah, it's something that we're currently looking into because again, right, when we're talking about Teams, it's we're trying to be able to secure that communication. So
yes,
there are risks when you're connecting to like third parties like YouTube, Facebook, right? Because again, we cannot manage those security on those platform. We can only manage on our platform. Yeah. I don't have any, I don't have any updates on are we going to do it or not, right? But
no,
I
I
can
think
see that it's
that
something that
more
a lot of customers
in
looking into.
about few days back, I was looking into the user voice Teams, and I saw
Uh,
about 700 or odd requests are there
700.
to
Oh, that's pretty good.
yeah, to odd that means to integrate Microsoft Teams with YouTube,
Yeah.
because some of the people are doing live events. So because of that, they want to put the platform. That means this is a now I'm using a tool called StreamYard.
Hmm.
So I have the capability of putting live to multiple platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and there was some other one I have not used. So for the moment, I'm using only Facebook and YouTube. I'm putting this live, and I have so everyone can watch this later on through YouTube and Facebook in my pages.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is the thing what people want. So if you have any requirement regarding this Microsoft Teams, we have user voice Microsoft Teams, and you have
That's right.
myself available. And as I said, Microsoft Sri Lanka and the partners are working close to you. You can find anyone through search from Bing or Google or any other search engine. Everyone is there on sessions. Even in Facebook also we are available. Just have a chat. I think Herdian is there in LinkedIn as well as in Facebook. You can send a request for him and get some answers regarding these matters. So we are very happy to help, and I think we'll have a closing note and we'll end this session for the date, Herdian.
Thank you, Malit, for having me in this session.
No, even I have to thank you. That means you are straight away in Australia, and it's a Sunday afternoon. You are spending hours time, 1 hour plus time over here with me to educate people regarding Microsoft Teams and giving them a solution moving forward. So
Happy to share.
yeah, so I think Dileepa recommended. So you are the person to talk regarding Microsoft Teams. So he was my first guest for my session. I started with him, so he's there with me, and he said, "For any help, we are there for you." That means I have friends like Janakarangam. He's also one of my colleagues who's in Australia. So Ashik Niaz and many more. I can't thank name by name, but the main guys who are behind me is Dilip, Ashik, and we have a person who's from Trident Corporation. Is one of the Microsoft distributors in Sri Lanka. His CSP distributor. So these people are encouraging me to do these sessions, and I think we will be having some session in Bangladesh as well. So we got some request, and we are moving forward to that as well. So I would like to invite you. I think about after by August we will have another session. I'll try to get a few more people, like two or three, so we can have a debative conversation regarding Microsoft Teams. I think by then there will be more updates regarding
Yeah.
Microsoft Teams, so we can have more wide discussion. Right? Okay. Thank you very much,
Thank
Herdian,
you.
and I have to thank my viewers who are viewing this. So we are having another session for Microsoft ATP, Microsoft 365 ATP, from one of my colleagues who is now resides in Dubai. So we will be having that session on Friday. I'll be sharing the links as soon as possible. So till we meet again, thank you very much, Herdian, to have you. And we are looking forward to have another sessions with you in the future. Malit Tech Talk with Malit. So thank you once again, and to all my viewers, I say goodbye, good afternoon, and I think it's good evening for Herdian. Almost good evening.
Go on,
So
CJ.
yeah, so for today we are ending this session, and thank you for viewing, guys. Stay tuned. I have a session for Microsoft ATP on Friday, so that will be our last session for this month, and we'll be having more sessions through Microsoft Dynamics, and we'll be starting a new segment called uh, Tech in 60 Minutes. That will be a weekday session, so we'll be bringing some technological approach, let's say Microsoft Team Administration Center, developing or anything. Experts from Sri Lanka and worldwide, we are bringing a 60-minute session. Okay, have a nice day, guys.